Hey Gators and sports fans, get all your Gator talk, news, analysis, and opinions on the Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning podcast. Find us on your favorite podcast platform or watch us on Facebook Live between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. every weekday. Pod Up, because we are Gator fans. So say it's great to be a Florida Gator.
Good morning. Welcome to a Tuesday edition of Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. It's Tuesday. That means good old Buddy Martin from the Buddy Martin Show is going to join us on the Titan MR hotline. We are 26 days away from Gator kickoff. Shoot us your messages of your favorite Gator that wore number 26. One guy I played with was great on special teams, a guy named Myrick Anderson back in the day. And I think Todd Johnson wore 26, or either he wore 26 as a pro with the Bears, so I'm not sure. But let's go ahead and welcome our good friend of the program, Buddy Martin, to the Titan MR hotline. Good morning, buddy. How are you?
Good morning, Shane. How you doing? I was thinking 26. I got to go back a long way. Was it maybe Allen Trammell way back? I don't know. I don't have a 20.
Trammell, right?
I don't know.
Wore 26.
I'm not sure, but I have to look it up. Been a while.
Yeah, I don't. Myrick Anderson from Defuniak Springs came in with me as a freshman. He wore 26. Tremendous player on special teams, played a little outside linebacker. But I can't really. I know Todd Johnson, I think, wore 26 for the Bears. I don't know if he wore 26 for the Gators, but my dad wore 26 at Ole Miss. So,
well, there you go. That's the one we need to go with. That's it, right?
Yeah.
There. Yeah.
Well, we don't want to talk Rebels on this show, buddy. We got quite a bit to talk about here. I want to jump into real quick. Did you hear about the Cale Gundy situation at Oklahoma?
Yeah, I did. I heard about it. I'm still a little curious about what happened exactly, and I have an idea what was said. But by the way, Jeremy Crawshaw, the punter, is 26 this year, along with Kamar Wilcoxon. So there's two 26s there. I heard about it. I heard about it, and I don't know much more than what I read, which is that he had a racially charged word that he read from an player's iPad. I guess the player wasn't paying attention. He grabbed it out of his hands in a meeting, and he read out the words, and we're not sure if it was a song or lyrics, but apparently it was racially charged. And the story said he resigned, but we know what happened. He obviously got fired. So, I heard about that.
Yeah, he's been there, played quarterback for OU, been there a long time. A lot of the black athletes came to his defense, and it's a shame. Supposedly a tremendous recruiter. It's going to be a huge loss for OU moving to the SEC. But, it's a sad situation. Okay, so we got some 26s. Todd Johnson did wear 26, and so did this. This might be the best 26 we've had. Todd played a long time in the NFL, but Jarvis Williams wore 26.
Boy, there's one for you right there. Really good one. Really one of the great players in Florida. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's so much history out there that we're not, we talk about great players and teams and things. We don't even get into, we scratch the surface. So back before I started following the Gators, before I was born, there were great players on the 27-28 team, that we forget about. And it's too bad we don't do a better job of connecting the history, because that's really what we're all about. If you're a Gator fan, you need to know a little of your history. And I get it. When I was a kid, I didn't care about some guy 25 years ago, and today you have to stop. They know who Steve Spurrier is and Shane Matthews, maybe, but they barely know who Carlos Alvarez and John Reeves were,
Well, buddy, I tell this story all the time. Back when I was coaching high school football, and last year I coached was 2019, but I think this was about 20. Let's see, we were in the playoffs. This was in like 2011, I think, or 2012. And I'm sitting there. We're getting ready to go to the playoffs. So I'm telling a little story about my high school days of going to the playoffs, winning the state championship. These are going to be times you'll remember the rest of your life. That type of speech, because these kids don't really think about that stuff right now.
Right.
but I'd also mentioned Emmitt Smith because we had played Emmitt my junior year in high school at Escambia. And I said, everybody knows who Emmitt Smith is here. If you know Emmitt Smith, raise your hand. Not one player on this high school football team in 2011 knew who Emmitt Smith was.
Oh, man.
So,
gosh.
He
didn't do very much. He only led the NFL in rushing. Other than that,
right.
all the time.
But, it just goes to show you that these people, a lot of people, I can tell you, I have a close friend that that was interviewed a couple of years ago for a small time, I don't know if it was like a Division III school out in the state of Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, on his resume, he had coached under Steve Spurrier.
Uh-huh.
Well, those people on that staff did not even know who Steve Spurrier is.
Oh boy!
So it's crazy how some people don't know who people are.
Well, Shane, whose fault is that? By the way,
well, that's those people's fault for not following.
Okay, well, let's table that for later. Okay, go. I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
No, you're fine because I wanted to read this. I saw this on Twitter, and it was a screenshot from a chat board on the Texas Aggies website, and it was referring to Arch Manning.
Mm-hmm.
And whoever this guy says, just passing this conversation along, not sure if it's all correct, but this is a coach friend of mine that knows everybody in football. He said, an Ole Miss booster called Archie and offered $15 million for Arch. Archie told them Peyton cannot stand Lane Kiffin because of his days at Tennessee, and that Peyton said he would give Arch the $15 million not to go to Ole Miss. Then Georgia offered Arch $11 million, and Eli and Archie liked Georgia because of when Matt Luke was there, but he's no longer there. So Texas got Arch for $12 million. But the family says the recruitment is really not over. And if you remember when Arch committed to Texas, Kirby Smart said something like this, quote, "This is not over yet. This coach has given me solid information before. Could just be all talk, but thought it was interesting. If Arch does flip, it will be an interesting afterthought."
Where would he flip to? Where do you think he flipped to? I don't know.
I think they're talking about he still may flip to Georgia, but anyway, I just thought that was kind of funny that especially when Peyton says, "I'll give you $15 million not to go to Ole Miss because I hate Lane."
Wow. I don't know if it's a true story. It's a good story. I like it. It probably is.
It is a good story.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of college football, did you see the money that CBS is going to pay the Big Ten? They're going to have their games on CBS starting next year, I believe.
2 years.
Is that correct, buddy?
I think it's 2 years.
2 years?
But I'm not. Listen, I'm terrible on dates, so I go with you. Whatever you say.
Well, real quick, Stuart Mandel says here on Twitter, you can see it starting in 2023.
Oh, 2023. Oh, okay.
Well, this is his projections.
Okay.
He says at noon, Big Ten on Fox. At 3:30, the Big Ten on CBS, and at 7:30, the Big Ten on NBC. And then he says starting a year later, you will see at noon SEC games on ABC and ESPN at noon, 3:30, and 7:30. So
we got that
$350 million. $350 million.
Oh boy. Well, we knew it was coming. And there's no end to it. And it brings up, really, not to disrupt your show, but it brings up the question of, the where we go from here. And you've railed about it now for a year and a half, this being out of control. I've been sort of like free market, let's see what happens, it'll straighten itself out kind of guy, and hoping and praying that the game of college football won't fall off a cliff. And I told you last night on the show, I see a car hanging by its back wheels on the edge of a cliff, and that's college football right now. And I know you're worried about it, and I raised the question, what are we going to do? Until we decide who really owns college football, the question I keep raising, we'll raise all week and next week, to say who, in your opinion, owns college football, then we have to say, what are you going to do about it? Last night, after you were on, Fran said, television. I said, God, please don't let it be TV, because you know what's going to happen there. So it's a mess right now, and there's another example of it.
Yeah, there's no question. It's a mess. On Facebook Live, brought to you by Metal Law, Wes says, Ivory Curry wore number 26. I don't know who that is. Maybe I should know. Do you know who that is, buddy?
No, I do not.
Okay. Sticking with the Mannings, I don't know if people saw this, but I thought it was very cool. Peyton is paying for a scholarship at Georgia Tech. In the late honoring his former teammate Demarius Thomas, who passed away. They played together with the Broncos.
Yeah.
But yeah, I saw a thing where he was there with the family yesterday. He spoke to their team, but he had a lot of respect for Demarius Thomas, and I just thought that was very cool. What
about Tim Tebow? He had a kick hand low too. He had one of his biggest plays as Bronco with Demarius Thomas. So.
Very true.
Yeah.
Very, very true. Buddy, did you see Miami's new locker room they're moving into?
I did not. Was it posh?
It was. People are killing them on Twitter. It looks like a party bus because it is the hallways from, you know, how lockers on one side look at the other locker on the other side of like a hallway.
Mm-hmm.
There is hardly any room to move. I mean, it looks like, you know, you're getting on one of those party buses. And it's all crammed in there, and it's got all these bright lights and neon lights and stuff. It was, I was not impressed. It looks like it's going to be extremely uncomfortable and crowded. Okay, so we here's who our Ivory Curry is.
Okay.
The great Pizza Bill tells us he was a great DB from Miami in the late '80s, and had a great punt returner as well. So I apologize for not knowing him, but that was way before my time.
Well, you know what? You got guys like Pizza Bill Feinberg out there who know this stuff. We appreciate it.
Yeah, Camp says, my fellow high school teammate and relative wore number 26 for the Gators. Yeah, we mentioned Myrick. Myrick came in the same year I came in.
Okay.
Came in with Dexter McNabb. They were high school teammates there at Dufuniak Springs. So I like going back and talking about guys' numbers and things of that nature.
You're a numbers guy. You're a uniform and numbers guy, Shane. You always have been.
I definitely am. I don't believe in retired numbers, and but yeah, I am a uniform guy. Speaking of uniforms, well, good gracious, Rick says Ivory Curry, University of Florida former player, died this week in a hospital in Brandon.
Wow.
Wow, I hate to hear that. So. Our thoughts and prayers go out to them. The uniforms. So I had somebody send me a bunch of pictures of the 90s. And, buddy, I don't know if you've noticed this or people, our listeners. Have you noticed how Nike has changed the color of our uniforms, the color blue?
You know, you told me that a couple of weeks ago, and I had not noticed it. And until you brought it up, is it lighter or something?
It's a lighter. It's a Kentucky blue. And I asked somebody about this. And what it is, and this is just a shot at Nike on my part. They're lazy as hell. Okay. Because what they do is we are now the same color blue as Kentucky, Boise State, and there's probably some other schools that I'm not thinking of that are under another Nike contract. But they all have the same shade. So then when they make these uniforms, they make one shade of royal blue and it covers every school. You know, back when Coach Spurrier was here, the royal blue was a lot darker and I liked it a lot better. I can't stand it now.
Well, here's the deal, Shane. I'm a little worried that, they're going to wind up before it's over. Those Michael Jordan basketball logos.
Yeah, that drives
football stuff. They're going to turn it into Carolina blue before it's over.
Yeah, well, the Jordan logo, Jumpman, whatever it's called, I get it, but I think it's so dumb to be on a football uniform. Okay, so let's go back to Ivory Curry. Rick says that he passed away in 1989.
Oh,
so,
okay. I didn't think I'd heard it recently.
All right.
So.
Yeah. Are you in the market to buy or sell your home? Doreen Weeby, a realtor with Caldwell Banker, M.M. Parrish, will provide you with fast, friendly, and reliable service. Give her a call today, 352-562-1411, to help your dreams come true. Speaking with Buddy Martin here on the Titan MR hotline, also sticking with college football and the Gators, they move into their new standalone facility this Sunday, buddy. I walked through it last week.
Oh, did you really? Really?
I don't know how the hell they're moving in Sunday because it's going to be one of those deals where they move in and construction's still going to be going on while they're moving in.
Yeah, sawhorses in the hallway. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's beautiful. It's been a long time coming. I'm jealous that I won't get to get in there and dress out and go to meetings. I wouldn't care about lifting weights, but it's a great place. Plenty of food. I mean, it's unbelievable, and I'm sure there'll be plenty of pictures on Twitter once they get moved in. But
well, Shane, you've been complaining about recruiting in the last 5 years because of facilities. You're finally going to get what you want.
Try 15. Try 15, buddy.
Yeah.
I've been bitching about a standalone facility for 10 to 15 years.
Yeah.
We finally got. Here's the problem, though, and I was telling somebody this the other day. So when I took my son to a bunch of SEC and ACC schools, it was either after his sophomore year, or maybe after his junior year. So that would have been in like 2017. Georgia, we went there. He did a workout for Kirby and all that stuff. Georgia had just moved into redone their facility, and it was unbelievable. Well, buddy, that's like 5 years ago. They've already redone those and put $80-something million into it. So that's the problem. Is as soon as you move in, you got to start renovating already because you're getting outdated.
Yeah, amazing.
Ronnie says here on Facebook Live, brought to you by Metal Law. I agree. I always wondered why they changed. The 90s blue uniform were much better. Wish they would consider going back. It's a Nike thing. Yeah. It's Nike. That's what I was told.
You would know. You've been around that. You're kind of in that business a little bit.
Yeah. So, but buddy, go back to your question.
Yeah.
About college football.
Yeah.
You and I talk weekly about the NIL. SMU, who basically was doing the NIL illegally back in the day and got the death penalty.
Yep.
They've come out and they said every player on their roster is going to get $36,000.
36 football and basketball. 36,000.
Yeah, which SMU has tons and tons of money. I just don't know how here's what it's going to do. It's going to help them when they're recruiting against other group of 5 teams. Against the UCFs, against the Houstons, against those type, the people in their conference, the type of teams they play, because they have tons of money. But it's not a kid is not going to go to SMU over Florida, Alabama, Georgia, or anywhere like that.
We don't think. But there's always those academic guys that can't get in or whatever. And not as much anymore. It's something. And Shane, I told you last night, I don't mean to disrupt your thought, but I'm at the point where I'm saying now something has got to be done. Something. There's no football player, Red Mitchum, that played at Florida 100 years ago. They were playing against Kentucky when Kentucky was good, and they had a guy named Bob Gain. It was an all-world tackle, just beating the crap out of those guys. And Red was playing offensive line, and he was talking to his teammate. And finally, he turned around and said, "We got to do something, even if it's wrong." And I think that's where we are with college sports today. Got to do something. I don't know 100%, but I got an idea, and I mentioned it to you last night. If you start thinking who's responsible, and you can't control the money, forget it. If you think college football is going to be corrected by the NCAA, you're dreaming. If you even think that the coaches or players are going to get it, it ain't going to happen. So the question becomes, who is really in charge, or who owns college football? Not in charge. Well, nobody's in charge. But in the end, Shane, you mentioned it last night right away. What's missing and who does it belong to? And you're spot on. You said, but the passion of the game, it's the fans who really own it, all right? But they can't take ownership. And so what are you going to do about it? Somebody's got to put their foot in the ground and make a decision and say, maybe nobody else can do this, but I can do something. What is it? I think that's important right now.
Yeah, I don't know what the answer is, but something needs to be done. Dan says on Facebook, well, it has to be the fans. If they don't watch or come, then what?
There you go. There you go.
Yeah. I think the TV money is going to be there, but the attendance, the concessions, the buying the apparel, all that stuff, that all comes from the fan base.
Yeah, and what makes Florida football so great, all right? And NIL money, I think Gator Collectors does a hell of a job. I not like what they're doing. But what makes the Florida Gators, to you didn't have a sense of tradition about it because you were an Ole Miss guy and Mississippi State guy. And, when you're watching on TV, you watch you were attracted by the offense and Spurrier and whatever. Now Florida has a legacy. I think it's something that's going to be, it is being used now, educationally, top 5 public universities and so on and so forth, and the pride. And in the end, you stand up for your school. What does that mean, Shane? Loyalty, but loyalty up and down, not just from the fans, but to the fans, and give them a little power back because they've been stripped of their power. Well, at some point, someone in the fans got to say, hey, time out. We got to stop this. I'm changing this thing and figure out something they can do to get the attention of these people. And usually that means the pocketbook, but there's other ways. And Shane, you're the one thing I love about you is you're a loyal Gator. You're a loyal Gator. And I think loyal Gators got to be identified and they got to stand up together. That's my opinion.
No, I agree. Now, one thing that people, when they talk about, they have their orange and blue glasses on, and you just brought it about being a top 5 public institution.
Right.
That's great. But I can promise you, not one damn athlete, well, let me just say, one football or probably basketball player or baseball player, will stick to those 3 sports. Not one of those guys cares about being a top 5.
Well, their mamas do. Their mamas do.
Well, the moms probably do. Yeah, I agree.
And there have been a couple of players who come to Florida because of it. Yeah.
They ain't making their decisions on that. I can promise you that.
Well, I can tell you Derek Wingo's story. Derek Wingo said that his mother pushed for it because of the academics at Florida. He had offers to go other places. So it does sometimes matter. I'm not saying that's what you hang your credential on and say, well, then Vanderbilt would get all the players. I'm just saying it does make a difference, I think. And there's Derek Wingo's story because he told me that story. So, but I mean, regardless of that, there's so much more now, and you're right. It's a lot of they want to go to the NFL. Obviously, they want to get a chance to make some money. They want to play in the SEC and so on. And then it's how good can you make me? One thing they got there, they got a heck of a good start on the coaching staff. And I was told last night by somebody who knows and knows the coaches said they're very proud. They have a diverse coaching staff because for a long time they didn't have many African-American coaches. They have quite a few and have some really good ones. And I think that's important given the ratio of players who are African-American. And besides that is right. And they're proud of the mixture they have. And Billy's done a really good job on that. We'll see if that makes a difference.
No doubt. We talked a little bit about on your show, the poll. Was it the coaches poll that came out?
Yeah, coaches poll.
Obviously, the regular old guys are up there in the top 10. I think Utah checked in at number 8, but some moron gave Texas a first place vote.
Yeah, that was a different poll. But you're right, they did. Yeah.
Yeah, but who in the hell would vote? I mean, look. It could be one of those deals where Coach Spurrier used to always give Duke a first place vote.
Oh, yeah.
Which makes sense because he coached there. That's kind of who gave him his start to coaching. But anybody that would vote the Texas Longhorns, give them a first place vote. I just don't understand.
They'll be lucky if they can finish 500 or better right now, in my opinion. I agree with you. Shane, do you know who all the SEC teams' rankings were in that poll? Not that it means that much. It's just a preseason poll. But I saw this today. Aside from the obvious, Alabama 1, Georgia 3, Texas A&M is 7 in that poll. And then you drop all the way down to 21, Kentucky, and then Arkansas, and then Ole Miss. And Kentucky is 21, Arkansas 23, Ole Miss 24. Then in the others that got votes category, Tennessee, LSU, Auburn, Mississippi State, Florida, and South Carolina. So that's what that looks like, for what it's worth.
Yeah, I'm not buying Texas A&M right now. They're going to have to show me something. I think they still have quarterback issues. They lost a lot of good players. I'm not buying the Aggies. I'm not buying Ole Miss this year either, buddy. I think they lost so many good players. I actually think Tennessee's a better football team this year than Ole Miss.
Mm-hmm.
But time will tell. Ole Miss still has to play in the West, which is brutal week in and week out. But I don't know. I just got a funny feeling. They lost. They only have like 4 or 5 starters back on offense. They lost all their skill guys. They lost their offensive coordinator to Oklahoma. So it's going to be interesting. Cliff asked here on Facebook Live, brought to you by Melvin Law. Speaking of Duke, I was watching part of their spring game, and Gavin Spurrier was in the QB rotation. That's Coach Spurrier's grandson. Yeah, that's Bubba Spurrier's one of his triplets.
Yeah.
The other boy, out of the triplets, the daughter cheers. She's a cheerleader at Florida, and then 2 are at Duke. One runs like cross country, and then the other one, Gavin's a walk-on quarterback at Duke. So, they got a million Spurrier grandkids. I do know that.
Yeah, they do.
Buddy, did you get to check out any of the NFL Hall of Fame inductees?
I did. I'm a sucker for that.
I thought Tony Baselli's speech was outstanding.
He did a good job.
Bryant Young's speech brought tears to my eyes.
Oh my gosh, that was awesome. It was awesome. And you know what, Shane? There was one recurring theme in that thing, and that is that so many of them were guys that, like Mills, and nobody gave a chance to play. They were too small. The guys that didn't have they were not top draft choices, and so many of them had that story to tell. I sat there watching, and I couldn't take my eyes off of it because it tugged at my heartstrings. So they all had a story. Every one of them were really good. And I thought back to you ever been to Canton for Hall of Fame?
I have not.
I was there for Terry Bradshaw's induction, and he was incredible. They said at the time it was one of the greatest of all time. And his opening line was, and he had asked me to help him with this for 2 years or a year and a half. I can't write it. I can't help you, Terry. It's your story. I have nothing. Just say what you mean. He got up there and said, if I could only put my hands under Mike Webster's butt one more time.
I remember that.
Yeah, and it was awesome.
I remember that.
Yeah, and it was so sincere. And, and usually speaking, you get tired of these speeches, and we hear them all the time. But I tell you what, I watched just about every one of them on Saturday. What do you think of, besides when you mentioned them?
Well, I didn't get to see all of them. I forgot it was on. For some reason, I thought it was in the evening, but it was during the day, and I turned it on. And what I realized, buddy, it shows my age because a lot of those guys, I came into the league the same time. I played against them.
Yeah.
I was a teammate of Sam Mills when I was with the Carolina Panthers. I was on the Playboy All-American team with Bryant Young and Tony Baselli. Bryant Young spent a year or 2 coaching the Gators, just a sharp dude, and I didn't realize that he had lost his son to cancer, and that was just an unbelievable story. But I was telling somebody yesterday, or maybe it was last week, I was lucky enough to play and fortunate to play 14 years in the league. You would have thought I would have played one preseason game in the Hall of Fame game, but not one. Never been there, and which was a good thing because that means you play that extra game, and you have to go to camp a little bit early. I never been to Canton. And Lauren says here on Facebook Live, Canton is awesome. They play the state championships there too. It's awesome for the kids. Yeah, I can see that. And then Greg asked, he wants to know how Terry's doing, buddy.
He's doing good. I talked to him the other day. He had a little bump last week, and he's been under treatment. And he texted me, and I guess I can tell this now. He finally called me and said, "I'm in the worst pain I've ever had in my life." Well, a guy who got bounced around like by Turkey Jones on his head, as a player, and got knocked around, and the guy who has been undergoing serious treatments, health treatments, I worried about him because that's not a good thing to hear. And so I said, call me back when you get out of the hospital. They're going to urgent care. And he called me back or texted me back, and when he called, I wasn't available. He said, broken rib. I thought, dang, brother, you've had a bunch of them in college in football, and they're painful, Shane. You had them. So he's doing good. He hopped on a plane on Monday. He's off to Hawaii, which he goes to every August for 3 weeks with his family. So he's doing good, and I'm really happy.
Is he still going to work for Fox?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Good deal. He's got a couple of more years on his contract, as far as I know, and he's been performing all summer in Branson, Missouri, singing.
Yeah, Branson, Missouri is a good place.
Yeah.
Peachland Dentistry, Gator Nation's #1 choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte surrounding areas. Go visit them at peachlanddental.com. A few more minutes with Buddy Martin here from the Buddy Martin Show. All right, Buddy, let's switch to the Gators.
Can I ask a favor? Can I just do something totally gratuitous on your show? Will you allow me to say this? Because it's something that's important to us, okay? And I hate to hear you to talk about things that are promotional. This is important. Our show has been around, for 5 years, and we're on Facebook Live, as you know, and we have reached the status where if we're able to make another 1,000 likes on our show, we will then become one of the places that Facebook will advertise. That's significant for a small guy like us, And so Brendan Martin, my producer, asked me to please start telling people, go to Buddy Martin Show page and like it and subscribe. There'll be a subscription on it, which won't cost you anything. And that will help us a great deal. We'll only need about less than 1,000 to go. And so it would really be helpful. And a lot of my guys on my show have done this. Just go to the Buddy Martin Show page and like and share and make sure you were signed up to subscribe if you can find a button. All right. Thank you for letting me do that.
Yeah, that's awesome. So they'll start advertising for all kinds of stuff on your program.
Facebook will advertise on it, which is significant. It's not a lot of money, but every little nickel helps, Shane.
Yeah. No doubt at all. Okay, so I want to touch on Gator football.
Mm-hmm.
They should be getting the pads. I want to say today.
I think this friend said they were in yesterday. They were in pads.
Maybe yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah. So did the Franz got any scoop coming out of there?
Nothing that you haven't heard. The things that you hear, but no scoops, nothing. Right? It's too early for that, and not only that, you don't get a chance to go. But we don't get the chance to go but 15 minutes. And they got to go.
But
You're the one who sees.
France has some moles in there, I'm sure.
He got to
get information.
Yeah, he does have a little bit. He didn't have any hot scoops. He had a lot of opinions, which he always does, as you know. But no hot scoops. You made a point last night, which I think, and I copied this down today on my questions. I thought I'm going to ask on my show tonight, and one of them was. What player not named Anthony Richardson are you most excited to see in the swamp? I'll let you go first. I got 4 of them I wrote down, and you mentioned one up last night. I'll go ahead and say Ricky Pearsall. I know,
no matter what.
Right, yeah.
Clearly our #1 wide receiver.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Yeah. Anybody else? Well, I got Pearsall. I added him on my list because of what you said. I'm not going to take these guys for granted. There's some guys on there. I'm really happy to see Ventrell Miller out there. He is a key piece on defense. The guy I want to see really do well, who I think will, Trent Whittemore, I think is going to have a big year. And Naquan Wright is killing it, I hear. So those are the ones I'm anxious to see. Yeah, by the way, I wouldn't mind seeing Ventrell, but I wouldn't mind Gervon Dexter, too, by the way, who's also a monster there. So.
Yeah, for Ventrell to be a good player and to do what he's supposed to do, the front four better do their jobs. Because if they don't, it's going to be a long year. And like I've been preaching for 3 years now, the front 7 has been a huge concern for me. It still is. I hope they prove me wrong. But that's my biggest concern coming out here. We got a text on the Titan MR text line for you, buddy. It comes from Jimmy. Jimmy says, Buddy, in all the years that you have covered the Gators, has there ever been so much hype for one player like Anthony Richardson for who really hasn't played a whole lot? Does that make sense?
Tebow, he played as a freshman. There was a lot on him. And I will say this about Anthony Richardson. It's justifiable in my opinion. He is, Tebow calls him one of the great players he's ever seen. What little I've seen him out before he got in, just what I've heard talking to people, a few clips. The guy's got unlimited potential. potential is a word that you got to be careful with. I love his attitude now. I love the fact he traded in his Dodge Charger and got himself a Toyota after that speeding ticket, which is smart. I love that he has distanced himself, whether you're a Amendment 2 guy or not. That's nothing to do with it. He took the AR-15 tag off his name because it's a weapon used to kill school children. And he knew that his advisors were very smart, because if he's in the Heisman race, which he should be, that'll be used against him by some people. So get rid of that, which he did. I love the fact that Billy says, now you and I have discussed this, Billy says he's literally made an effort to learn more about the offense. And the fact is, he's just not going to pull it down and run, which is what you have to worry about when you got to add talent. And his gifts are incredible. You've seen, you've known him, you watched him all these years. And the kid's pretty humble for a guy who's got the world at his fingertips. So, yeah, I'm really excited about him. Have I heard the hype? Yeah, I've heard a lot of hype over the years, different players, whatever. But sometimes it's those you don't hear about. And I heard a lot about John Reeves, by the way, when he came aboard. He delivered on the first series of downs to Carlos Alvarez. So I'm excited about Anthony, and I think he's going to be a heck of a player. He's a weapon. If everybody else does their job, and Shane, you talked about it last night, France and I talked about it, this running game, I'm not as concerned about the front four as you are. I know if they play Alabama and Georgia, it's going to show up. There's no doubt about it. But I think they're doing enough things. Dexter's going to play defensive end some. They moved some guys around. They got a guy back who was off the team. And I think the scheme defensively in the secondary and the players and the coaches are going to make a big difference in what they can do on defense. And remember, and I said this to friends last night, there ain't going to be no games where there's going to be 8 illegal motion penalties. They're going to cut down the stakes, and they will run the football. And their offensive coordinator, call it what you want to. I know he's not really he's that in name. Rob Sale, what does he like to do? Run the football. They've got to run the football. If they can't run the football, they've been a failure, because they're putting all their emphasis. They got some good offensive linemen. Osiris Torrance is, I think, world class. They got a few others. And I'm hearing great things about Michael Tarquin, who Coach raved about last week, about an example of attitude. So I'm optimistic. I almost throw realistic. I think you start counting numbers, you get stuck on that 7. Okay, can they win more than 7? It's going to be hard, but if you don't give the ball away, turn it over, and they can take a few takeaways, which they will in this defense, by the way, and they can hold their own in the front 7, this is going to be a decent football team.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is, after having said all that, is they're going to run the football, and I'm a big believer what Anthony does best is run the football. Mm-hmm. And I think he has to have 10 to 15 carries a game for Florida to be in games and to win games. I just
don't know if he can hold up. Huh?
Well, look, he's 240 pounds, buddy. I took a beat. Look, you think about this, buddy. This is what's crazy. You realize Coach Furry was the head coach at Florida for 12 years. Mm-hmm. He did not have one starting quarterback miss a game due to injury.
Didn't realize
that I'm aware of. I could be wrong, but I played at 170 pounds, 175, 180 my senior year. I took a beating. I had a ton of injuries, but I didn't miss one game. I don't think Danny missed a game. I don't think Rex. I don't think Doug or Jesse or any of them. So my point is, you got to be fortunate. There's freak injuries here and there. He pulled his hamstring for whatever reason, but he can run the football and protect himself. That's the biggest thing that he has to do. Is he has, and I talk about it on my show and other shows. I really think he needs to have 15 carries a game and run out of bounds. There ain't a damn thing wrong with running out of bounds.
Yeah.
There ain't a thing wrong with sliding. Yeah. Now, if the game is on the line and I have to run at 240 pounds against 2 linebackers that are 240 pounds, let's do it. But if the game ain't on the line, be smart with your body, because that's what he does best. And we got to utilize that. Do you disagree with that?
No, I don't, but I don't want to be Dan Mullen either. I think Mullen runs quarterbacks too much, in my opinion. And also, while we're at it, I'm not going to just keep bashing Dan Mullen here, because that's the way it is. The fact is that there's his quarterback, Emory Jones, who was groomed, his top pick, had him for 3 years, supposed to be a runner and a good passer. He didn't know how to throw the ball out of bounds, and it killed him. He had so many interceptions. He was a good runner, and a willing runner, but not a great runner. And Mullen's whole single wing offense is built around a guy who's the tailback playing a quarterback, like Tebow. That's what he's done. That's what he did. Well, except for, I know Prescott and all that. I understand, but still, he was a brute force guy. Your coach Steve Spurrier one day after practice walked up and looked at me and pushed me and said, "This is how they block today. You know, it's a different game, and if you pound in there for a long time, it's going to cost you." So I'm kind of mixed. I don't want to see my quarterback out there too much. 10, 15 might be too many, but he definitely has to run, in my opinion.
But here's the difference. Here's the difference in the run game. Mullen called quarterback power. That's what his run game was, where you're running between the tackles. If he calls zone read, which Anthony scored against USF on it and FAU, he's outside the tackle box. There's not as many bodies out there.
Yeah,
that's the run game I'm talking about. I don't wish the quarterback power run on anybody in America.
Yeah.
So
good point. That's a very good point. Good. I hope you'll point that out to us as we're listening to you on the radio. That's good stuff.
Yeah, I will for sure, because I don't believe in calling anything for the quarterback between the tackles.
That's a great point, Shane. Can I ask one more question? My third question of the day, that one before I go off the air, and that is, who is Sean Kelly?
Well, Sean Kelly is the voice of the Gators.
Thank you. And that's my question today, because I want to interview him today for my show for Thursday night. And it's funny when you Google him, you'll see all kinds of Sean Kellys. One guy just died. He was in the National Lampoon. He is one guy. And anyway, he was a soccer player named Sean William Kelly. But this guy is obviously from New Orleans, and by all accounts, and you know him, he's your partner. I talked to a friend of mine there in New Orleans, Matt Moscona from ESPN in Baton Rouge and New Orleans. He said, you guys got really lucky. You got the absolute best guy. Why he got out of here without becoming the Tigers or the Pelicans or the Saints play guy is beyond me. And he said, you have really scored. I met Sean. I've talked to Sean. I'm going to interview him today. I'm going to find out, answer that question. Who is Sean Kelly? Sounds like a guy ought to be the play-by-play guy for Notre Dame, a name like that.
Yeah, well, he was the play-by-play guy for the Pelicans for a long time, but been doing the national college football games and got a great voice. And, you know, I know a lot of Gator fans, it's going to take some time because of Mick, but people need to remember, Mick Hubert had 0 ties to the Florida Gators when he was hired. 0. I don't think people realize that, you know, because everybody's, well, why don't we hire this guy? We need a Gator. Well, we didn't hire a Gator 30-something years ago. So Sean's going to do a tremendous job, and it's going to be fun. You know, I told him the other day, buddy, we ain't won a damn football game since I've been in the booth.
It's your fault.
Yeah, but I also told him, I said, look, I'm not throwing, I'm not catching, I'm not blocking, and I'm not tackling. Here's what the Gators need to do. Play better.
There you go. There you go.
We'll win some damn game.
Yeah. But, hey, real quick, I just thought of something I forgot to ask you real quick. Do you think it's too late to be making coaching changes right now? Because you had one in Oklahoma, obviously. Did you hear about Jimbo Fisher?
Well, I read something where he just switched his guys around, right?
Yeah, I'm a little. I can't understand that. He took off.
Here's the thing: the 3 coaches. 2 of them was Damian Craig,
right,
and James Coley, who is coached with him at Florida. And okay, so all those guys have coached all those positions. I think it was wide receivers, tight ends, and quarterbacks.
You're correct. Is that odd this time of year? I mean, that's a little change.
I mean, it is. I don't know if they're just doing it for a couple of practices or what.
No.
But those 3, they're doing it for good?
Apparently.
Okay, well, those 3 guys have been with Jimbo at different stops for a long time, so they know how he operates. And, Yeah, that is interesting. But here's the deal. I don't know who is moving to where, but if I'm coaching, like Damian Craig, I think he used to coach receivers, but he played quarterback. So, and he's been with Jimbo everywhere he's been. So I don't see a big deal there. But
Dickey's going from quarterbacks to tight ends. Coley going from tight ends to receivers, and Craig is working with the quarterbacks now.
Okay. Well, that makes Coley coached receivers at Georgia, so they've all coached those positions. I guess it's kind of odd, but it really isn't. But I will say this: I think the Texas A&M Aggies have more pressure on them than any other school in America.
No doubt about it. Hey, Shane, I remember when a guy made changes in his coaching staff, Ray Graves, in 1968, took his defensive coordinator, Gene Ellison, made him offensive coordinator, took his offensive coordinator, Ed Kinsler, made defensive coordinator, went out and got beat 51-0 by Georgia.
Well, yeah, I can promise you that was a bad idea. Because I would not want anybody that coaches defense calling plays for me.
Even the beloved Gene Ellison. All right, man. Thank you.
Yeah. Hey, buddy, who you got on your program tonight?
Lauren Meadows, who is coming on strong. We got David Whitley, who I think is doing a terrific job, by the way, as columnist. And our young intern, Kyle Curtis, tonight on the Buddy Martin Show. Don't forget to like the page, folks. Help us out.
Yep, like Buddy's page and like our page. All right, buddy, we'll talk to you soon, my man.
Thank you, Shane.
Buddy Martin on the Titan Tomorrow hotline. Take a time out, come back, get to more Facebook Lives and text. You're watching and listening to Pod Up with Matthews in the morning.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our premium sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gators. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Our gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Celebration Point Town Center, Chris Doring Mortgage, Silverback Concrete Co., Ruse Ogra State Farm Insurance, Doreen Wiebe Realtor Caldwell Banker MM Parish. Our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Adams Rib Company, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Okido America, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, Big Mills Cheesesteaks, MB Listing, McDonald's of Gainesville, 84 Lumber, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, Avra and Smith, Dowling Signs, Baker's Sporting Goods, Silver Cube Billiards and Sports Bar. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit podupwithshane.com and click the Advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure you follow us and support the businesses that support us.
On August 11th, our restaurant Spurrier's Gridiron Grill will be celebrating our one-year anniversary, and we're inviting you to Celebration Point. Proceeds from the event will go to the Ronald McDonald House, and we'll have a spread of your favorite Spurrier dishes, as well as special guests, but you have to get a reservation. So go to Spurriers.com right now and reserve your spot before it sells out. And thank you for a super first year. Go Gators!
Pro football legend Emmitt Smith understands your joint pain.
It does not surprise me that there are a ton of people out there that's in pain.
That's why Emmitt is such a proponent of QC Kinetics, offering real lasting joint pain relief with non-surgical, all-natural biologic treatments.
Whether it's a joint pain, ankle pain, shoulder pain, neck pain, back pain, hip pain, any kind of pain, the body eventually will break down when it's under that much stress.
That stress can cloud your judgment to the point that you'll just say yes to the scalpel or yes to another prescription of pain pills. But maybe it's time for a second opinion from QC Kinetics.
The reason why I would recommend this is because the natural biologics that QC Kinetics is providing you gives your body a chance to naturally heal itself.
Restorative, regenerative solutions are here. Get lasting relief and live your life.
Call QC Kinetics 352-400-4550. That's 352-400-4550. QC Kinetics 352-400-4550.
How much longer we got? How much longer we got? Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Celebration points where the Gators go to celebrate. There's no celebration like the one-year anniversary celebration at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. Join us on August 11th as we celebrate with a buffet of our best dishes, including a filet mignon carving station. Proceeds from the ticket will go to the Ronald McDonald House of North Central Florida. Make your reservations at spurriers.com today. We got a text on the Titan MR text line from Chris. He says, I wonder if anybody remembers old in Gainesville that Bryant Young did coach for Will Muschamp. I wonder if he's the only Gator coach that we've ever had that's in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. That's a pretty good question. That's something for our people to research, but I can't think of any right off the top of my head. This Day in Sports brought to you by our good friends at Comfort Temp. Comfort is our business. Peace of mind is our promise. Beat the summer heat. Schedule your air conditioners tune up today, keeping you chill and the Florida heat far away. Comfort Temp Heating and Air. Call us today at 352-376-2366. This Day in Sports in 2020, the PGA Championship at Harding Park out in California. 23-year-old American Colin Morikawa fires a final round 64 to win his first major title by 2 strokes over Paul Casey of England. That's This Day in Sports, brought to you by our good friends at Comfort Temp. Tomorrow we'll have one of our, tomorrow will be our last Wednesday off, I believe. Is that correct? Yes, that is correct. We will have the best of our Heisman Trophy winners that have been on the program, so make sure you tune in and check that out. It should be good viewing for you and your people. Rick wants to know if I still have my season tickets. Yes, I always have I've had my season tickets since I graduated, Rick. So Ruse Ogre State Farm Office is a team of dedicated insurance professionals ready to help life go right with the right insurance options for you and your family. Visit ogreinsurance.com. Give them a call, 352-240-1779. We appreciate Buddy Martin joining us on the Titan MR hotline. Buddy does a good job with his show Monday through Thursdays on Facebook Live each and every week. We got another text here. Let me pull it up on the Titan MR hotline. It is from Alan in Atlanta. He says, number 26 was Jarvis Williams, All-American corner in the 80s. Big hitter. Yep, we figured that out after I totally forgot about Jarvis. I brought up Ty Johnson and Myrick Anderson, and then Pizza Bill gave us a list of every Gator that's worn number 26. So if you want to check that out for your viewing pleasure, go for it. But Marcel Harris, I think Marcel Harris is still playing for the 49ers. He wore 26. And then tomorrow will be 25. So start thinking of your 25s. I got one in mind right now. I got a couple in mind. There's a bunch of good 25s, believe it or not. So we'll get those tomorrow. Save those. Don't text them now. And then on Thursday, we'll have Brent Beard. He'll have a lot to talk about. And I got a couple guests lined up maybe for Thursday and Friday that we haven't had on in a while. If their schedule permits. Hope you enjoyed today's program. As Buddy said, go to our page. Have all your friends and family like our page as well. Follow our programs. You got Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, you name it. Whatever kind of podcast, you can listen and follow our program on it. So make sure you do that. Hope you enjoyed today's program, folks. Be safe. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care.